who will watch see every word I say right now. But I usually wait at least until I can see it come up, you know.
It has come up.
Oh, really? Well, not on my computer. Isn't that funny? Okay, now it's showing live for me. Okay, well, good evening, everyone. My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to Corona Rising. And for those of you that are new, I am joined this evening by my good friend. Oh no, I did not do that. Oh, I wonder if that took it off. Are we still live that you can see?
It says live on YouTube.
Okay, good. For some reason, it's not on my channel. It's not on my screen anymore. Isn't that weird?
And it says recording. And you're still here. So even though you've given me permission, I'm, because I should probably start talking if I'm going to do this all by myself.
No, you're not going to do this all by yourself. I'm here. Well, at any rate, for those of you that are new, that do not recognize this lady right here, this is BZ Rigger, a member of the Gal Pal posse. And I know I haven't used that a lot on this one, on Corona Rising, but on Conscious Conversation Central, I would go so far as to say that you and I and Lisa probably have appeared in at least 800 or 900 videos together, because
a lot of fun too. A lot of fun, a lot of laughing. I was actually scanning through a few when I was doing something this weekend. And
oh, you know what? And I want to touch on that. I meant to do that before we went live, but I don't mind telling you here because I published a memory from Facebook today before I saw your email. You sent me an email asking me about 2 videos that we did. Time to put your big creator panties on and the flip-flop blowout or whatever it was, right? Remember how Lisa and I went to the local BJ's here and they had a hut set up, a little tiki hut that you could buy as a bar for your backyard. I posed in front of it while Lisa took my picture because it had some things up there that said flip-flop repair shop. And it was the day after we did that video, that conversation where I was flip-flopping about being a creator being. And I just posted that memory today. And then I saw your email asking me about those 2 videos. And I was like,
what are you flip-flopping on, Sheila?
Oh, I'm not flip-flopping on anything anymore. Are you joking me? No flip-flopping over here. So Journey Into It has joined us this evening. So Crystal's here. Speaking of which, we're going to be doing something Friday night with Crystal with Journey Into It. So, and it's going to be live. So anybody that will join us here, please know you're invited to that as well. So tonight we've got I'm really excited about this, BZ, because you got an announcement. You're gonna share some stuff with us, and this was all your title too. Just how do you create a new earth business and life? Practical magic. And I want to say why practical magic, of course. But so do tell us what you've been up to and what you're doing and all of that.
Trying to decide which world I'm in? No.
Well, everybody's doing that, I think.
Keeping my footing, in the tap dance of life. I've been having a lot of fun and working, playing, creating a lot. So with a full-time plus job and then the creator and expansion full-time plus jobs, I've been doing a few things. But I made the start of Living Life in HD, which is a web portal. So it will be a blog, it will be a business, it will be inviting and joining to me on my new life and what I'm doing. And it will be big community and a big campus and That's just a few of the things that I've been clued in on. And part of that will be more will come into me. And part of that is all the people out there who come to play and what is co-created will paint that canvas as well.
Well, I love that because, I've been hearing about this because, we do talk some, but in between your busyness. And so I'm really excited about this for you, for me, for everyone, honestly. I mean, I have seen and I will be placing in the show more section of this video a link to Living Life in HD. So you can go and take a look around and get to know the website there. And it's absolutely gorgeous the way you've set it up, I have to tell you. And I've only been there twice looking around, and the first time I don't know how I did it, but I found the video Finding Joe, because you have that there, and that was an excellent. I would love everyone to go and take a look at that. BZ has that posted in Living Life on HD, and that's a really great video. In case you don't know, Joseph Campbell was one of the world's foremost mythologists and coined the term the hero's journey, and I really enjoyed that video. So thank you so much for having that live there. I would not have known that video existed if you hadn't had that there. So things like that are going to, I feel like you're going to be having things like that and other things that sort of support the building of the new. Isn't that what this is all about, right?
Yeah. So there's a blog when you first go to livinglifeinhd.com, and there's lots of information and things you can click on and things you can dive into the site. But if you stay right on that page and you just keep scrolling down a bit, you'll actually then the blog will start. So that the top is kind of inviting and showing you different things you can choose from, and there'll be more things and they'll change out. And then if you just go to the download, then they'll be on the front page of the blog as well. And then you can click that and it goes to an individual post. You can see things by category on the right-hand side, navigation. You can, search by month or whatever. And there's a fair amount of, for a brand new blog, there's a fair amount of content in there, and there's more that'll go up. That's just on the blog site. Part of the content from blogs, in other words, third party, so different people's stories or news articles or something like that, there'll be some in a section called True News that will be more of the false construct stuff that was on the IUV. So, but it'll be formatted in a slightly different way. It'll be True News, so it may be a number of different articles that are on a specific thread will be there, and you can click that, which will take you to, and then you will explore the ones you want within that. So in other words, if there's a lot of new things going on with reveals about the point.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, I know what you're trying to do there. I'm so sorry. I got the same problem.
The pointy thing, this kind of pointy thing, then you can choose within there if anything of that is interesting to you. So that will just be a thing. But more to balance that out, because neutrality and balance is always something that's very powerful and very important when creating, is that then there will be learning new things about your own health, if you didn't know about that, about things that boost your immunity in the normal frame of life and in these moments in particular. And so it's where you are now to expansion. So that will be the bigger thrust of it. And there may be things like, history. I say that like this, but history is a good way to give you information, to inform you of what may have gone on before, so as not to allow it to happen again, or what have gone before, and realizing that that's no longer, like the systems are all crumbling. You can use that so that it would be linked back to the IUV, which is not coming. The word's not coming to right now.
I've kind of felt like the
An
IUV is a
archive.
place of record. Yeah.
Yeah, an archive. And then you can move forward into the new things, to create, because all of the systems and all of the all with a capital ALL systems and structures and everything are going away. Anything born of a fraud will not stand. And everything, all of the systems and structures are all born of a fraud. Okay, multiple frauds, but it fits under the category of a fraud. And so it'll move forward from there. And just like, how do we want to relate? So the old energetic frequency of how we do business, or for just a good example, if you're a business owner and you're on the internet, because whether you have a bricks and mortar or not, and you're wanting to market your business, right now that's done through a big tech algorithm and marketing scheme. That's actually not a natural way to do it, and it's of frequencies that are of the old, and they won't stand. So it will be connectivity, interconnectivity, and not how, keystrokes actually put something at the top that has nothing to do with anything else except for those who are keystroking, right? That won't. So if one is used to building something in that, you'll be in a dark electronic space, and nobody will be able to find you, because that's the new. So that's part of what I was talking. So if you have the business, that's important to know. But if you're just wanting to connect with other people, either there's something interesting on a site, or there's something that they have a product or service, or a way for you to read or engage with something, or to take part in what they're doing. Same thing, you won't be able to find them in the same ways, because authenticity doesn't exist now, but it will. And it is coming forward now, just like you're seeing parallel economies and parallel ways of doing business and parallel ways of conveying information already right now. And that will get more robust and more expansive as the old, completes its crumbling. It is already fast crumbling, and we're about this much from above the ground, right? But so those two, and then one of the reasons that it's not a like this is because it's at the behest of us, and we have to catch up with ourselves. We have to create within ourselves, and we have to reorient ourselves and clean up our own, because it's an inside job. So we need to clean up our own vibration. So anyways, that's part of the blog part of it. And then community and all sorts of things. That's all a big part of all of that, and playing.
Well, I want to, you were speaking there to the how things are rising to support the new. And I just prior to our meeting tonight, I ducked in over at americasrealvoice.news, as I like to do, because if I want news anymore, that's about the place I go, and or OANN or something like that. But I happened to catch the tail end of a segment with two doctors that are starting, what with the rise of telemedicine, they are actually starting an entire listing of medical professionals who see what's going on and are not down with what's going on. And they also, not just medical professionals, also labs and compounding pharmacies, and folks that and on the one hand, some folks see this and they have this thing about, oh my God, we're tearing the country apart, we're going to end up with two different sets of things. Well, this to me is more of what it looks like bifurcation to some. Actually, to me, is exactly what you said. The rising of the new as the old is coming down.
Yes.
And quite frankly, that's what we want.
Yes.
If everything came down like this, then what? I mean, we'd all be standing around going, okay, well, what the hell
Well,
now?
the shattering that would occur if it came down that fast would be catastrophic. And I mean shattering of people's minds, their psyches. There's already stuff like that. So
I was going to say, in all
I'm
honesty,
actually serious about that. You'll see it, right? Melting into puddles and then dematerializing right in front of you. The other thing too is that well, people have made their choices energetically and how they plan to go forward prior to 2021 clicking into 2022. And so now it's just a process of them more to get in that groove, and that's whole, in tandem segment will just phase itself out. It simply won't. First of all, because in that energetic frequency and in all of the tangible, touchable things that people do on that side of the concurrent running existence, it is not sustainable. And I mean that I'm not talking about an energetic. I mean, yes, absolutely. But I mean, just on a simple molecular, linear health base, it will do exactly what it's designed to do, which is to
right.
disappear.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. And that's why I said, and I saw, because I saw that example right before we met here, I wanted to bring that forward because I see that everywhere. Actually, I see all over the place folks that are like, well, if it's not available in this particular way and this is the way I'd like to have it, then okay, I'll create it.
Yes.
And so that's what it's starting to look like folks are doing, and I think that's absolutely fabulous.
And it's interesting that someone would state tearing apart. It couldn't be further from what is actually happening. It's maybe a band-aid ripping off or blindfold ripping off because for whatever reason one hasn't been paying attention. But that's actually a choice that being made, and
Right.
far be it for anyone to interfere with their choice.
Mm-hmm.
What's really happening is the most cosmically delicious flourishing and creating of new things. And so this is part of the magic envisioning behind the living life in HD, and for me living my life in HD. And HD, if you go to the site and read, it's a trinity of things. So HD as in high definition, so where your clarity and looking and all of that. And it's in the higher design, so living in alignment with what your soul wants, and it's in the higher dimension. So it's all of those things in a trinity fashion going forward. And what we create from that, one of the beautiful things that came is, and it's something that I've been having videos come in about for decades now, where you look around and all of a sudden the low grade, if you have a low grade headache or something it's not ouch, but it's just this nagging sort of a thing, and it's kind of imperceptible but always there. And then when it finally goes away, you're like, wow, like all of a sudden there's not this buzzing in your ear, or there's not this ache in your shoulder. Or if you've ever noticed when the power goes out, you can tell because the natural world sounds very different than that low grade hum that's going on. Anyways, so with that is that worry and the striving for I've got to slog through striving, not striving because I'm engaged and I'm excited about that. So in that silence of that noise of everything coming down and this coming forward is the wonderful sparking and the beautiful colors of people's, wow, what about this? I could do this. What about that? That thinking. And because we've clicked over into 2022, I would imagine most people, if they're paying attention, have noticed it already. But as you start to do that, when an idea blooms within inside of you, it actually is blooming in the physical right next to you. If you look, or if someone comes up, or you see something, Sheila talked about, this thing with the flip flops and then the email and all these kinds of things, that they're all relating because that's where the focus was for a moment, right? So all the more reason to be joyous because yay, now you really can see tangibly that you're a creator being and you're intentionally creating. And oh, I'm a creator being and I need to intentionally create because look at that thing that just bloomed here. And I didn't realize I was, thinking about that. So again, that goes with the coming down and the blooming.
No, you're exactly right. Keeping those thoughts in alignment with what I wish to experience is not always easy because it's also habit,
Mhm.
of decades in my case of not exactly speaking to myself in the best terms or about things in the way that is mm, not just well, because it is creative, just not creative in the way that I really want to create, what I would prefer to create. And so,
It's
yeah.
expansive, but
Well, yeah, expansive, sometimes expensive, sometimes horrific to go through. Too true. Not exactly the same as though what I would prefer. So I wanted to see here. Yeah, well, Stacy was saying that yeah, folks might not be able to handle that kind of a frequency, and they either jump on or jump off to other places, so to speak. Yeah, I know that that's happening all over the place. But so so I'm so excited because what all out now I know that there's a couple of other things that you're going to be doing because I participated in one. Are you ready to talk about that?
You'll have to fill me in because I'm not picking up what that one is.
The soul inspired blueprint.
Oh yes, yep, yeah. It's well,
Okay,
it's a.
that's
I mean, it's a business. So this will be my first ever technically letting the cat out of the bag, although I haven't officially. And if there's repercussions, then I guess Source needs to step in and get my back.
well,
But
I'll tell you what I view this as, BZ. This is you doing the trust fall, darling. This is you stepping off the cliff and waiting for that cloud to just come right up and with every step you take and move you across the crevasse. That's the way I'm looking at this. So please share what because it's exciting to me.
well, currently I am still where I was living before. You can see, so it's still the same, and doing the job, which is oftentimes 32 days, 50 days, 60 some odd days without a day off, and doing this. And so what I'm doing is that's my way that it supported the IV, which is was a very expensive proposition. It's been scaled back on security, so if they decide to take it down now, then that's the wishes of all of the energetics. But it will be there. It's set as an archive, and it will be there. You can go look at it. You can read. You can do all you like. Same as before. You just won't be new stuff posted there. But in order to do all that, I had to have a job to pay all the considerable bills and other bills that were related to the journey that part of the IUV has been chronicling. And so I'm starting my new life and my new business and my new way to have an exchange of value and support myself in the world and be able to, most importantly, I mean, that's fun and doesn't take a ton of money to do that, but to support all the things that I want to do as far as the bigger visions and the bigger pictures and the bigger callings of community. And like I said, a big campus where there's a learning center and communication center and community center, which will be tangibly on the ground as well as in the digital landscape. And so in order to do that, I looked at different ways I could start my business because my change where I live, where I work, So my new life is everything changes. Where I work, where I live, how I make my money, how I connect with people, where I'm doing it geographically, all of that stuff. And it changes in a 30-day period. Once I either if someone else picks it up on the business, the work business side, or I give the notice, it all changes like that. So what I'm doing
Right.
is creating my business, and which is part of the Living Life in HD portal, and getting that up and running so I have that going and then can move, on down the road. And part of that, part of the business would have services, the soul inspired blueprint readings, which is a fascinating thing in it. And again, if you go to read and explore some of the things I wrote about me section and stuff, it actually gives you, and there'll be more coming, because I think some of them are not because they're about me, but because the things that I was involved in doing and actually witnessed and helped facilitate will be great. It's just an experiential story for other people to jump off from experiences. But it gives you a little snippet of the last 17 months of the different trainings that I've gone through, that have to do with etheric training, that have to do with tangible training, that have to do with all sorts of inside and outside, and so the magic unseen, the magic seen and felt, and a combination of all of those things. There'll be workshops that are online and in real life, intangible, and meetups, and memberships, and all sorts of things like that. One of the things just on that, it keeps popping to my head, I think, because I love the feeling of it so much, and that is to have mastery labs, and energy labs and mastery labs. So there'll be different focuses, kind of like if you're at a big college institution or something like that on your campus, and you've got labs that you do where you have a focus and you're going and you're doing what it could be a yoga lab or a medical lab or a science, whatever. But this is, one that's really fun, is a superpower lab, where people who want to play and get better at in a safe energetic envelope to do that thing, then the container will be set up for people to come in and partake in. Might be a 4 to 6 week lab where they're doing that and they're sharing their experiences, and they're actually then in the digital sphere, in an electronic sphere, in an energetic envelope. They'll be coming together in community and learning and practicing and sharing and teaching, because learning and experiential is teaching. It's just the other side of that holding. So all of that will occur, and then they'll bring it out. So I'll bring it out because I'll be in them, and others will bring it out to the tangible part and do it there. We may bring in a feed that's a remote feed from them out in their neighborhood, watching things happen, so that people all over the planet, and what I've been told it'll be non-locals as well as interplanet as well. So all those things are all in with all of that. That to me is one of the most fun parts that's come from my heart, and that I've been asked if I will play with that more. So that's just some of what it is.
Now, you said something that I heard, at least one, not a question in the comments or anything like that, but perhaps someone that's not actually watching us now, but later. What do you mean when you talk about non-local participation? Because I know, but maybe some may not. And I personally feel like it's exciting because you also mentioned I've been told. And so I would like for you, because I do have some new viewers, believe it or not, folks that have just found Corona Rising and don't know anything about you or Conscious Conversation Central. I find that kind of wild too, but that's the truth. And if you don't mind, just share what you mean by that, because I know that you are, it is you with you, but you are really co-creating this, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's pretty full in my tiny house that I live in, aside from the two Aussies and the kitty cat and me, so non-local is a fairly common vernacular term of not from terrestrial. So there would be non-locals, and if one was wondering and wasn't sure about it, there's a lot of non-locals that are on the ground right now,
Right.
but there are a lot of non-locals right in, um, I don't know the term for the different parts of space, right? So if this is the surface of the Earth, where the backs of my hands, right? So whatever, right here and 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 here, and I haven't gotten very far yet because relationship wise, those are all non-locals in that sphere. And some of the spheres that the ships, some look like spheres, some are sphere shaped, some are planetoid sphere shaped. There's an article, I don't remember, maybe on either Living Life in HD or on the IUV, but it's about, rogue spheres. 126 of them have been spotted. Well, thinking they're planetoids, and
Ah,
they're actually spheres. They're ships. But all of those things, and so because this is not Vegas, and so what happens here doesn't stay as it does in Vegas, and there is this great awakening that is encompassing all. It's not just the little blue planet and the little cute humans that are finally waking up. It's far beyond that. So that was be non-local, is what I'm referring to, and that's like I said, a common way to refer to it. And what was the
right.
other?
Well, I really think you kind of answered that. I said you were co-creating, and this entire the website, everything that you're doing, you're co-creating it with your team, which is pretty extensive at this point.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And I'm speaking on your etheric team, just so everybody knows. Her physical team is her, the two Aussies, and the kitty cat. So, but I do know
Well,
that you.
there's other, and now there's in the physical side. I would, and part of what I wrote, I would call them. I call them. I don't know. They're local mentors, which would be local, like just the regular local, not geographically touching me, but on the planet in the normal
Right.
sense of that.
In the 3D humanoid aspect, they are right.
Yeah,
I
and
gotcha.
and my soul is very excited that I finally decided to get fully into alignment and let go of what are little pieces that were floating around, you know, cutting off the microphone.
I'm so glad. Well, because now listen, I had the same. I think everybody's been, well, a lot of folks anyway, have sort of, at least it's been my what I've seen, have kind of withdrawn a little bit, right, of late. You're not the only one. Good gosh, I certainly haven't done anything really since October. I mean, maybe a little here and there, but once the channel was taken down, I kind of, my little ego took a really big hit, and I had to go and mourn that for myself, along with a few other things, including my father's passing. So I feel as though, for me, I kind of noticed that it was sort of an observation that a lot of, um, folks who are well, my experience is folks that are trying to tune into themselves were kind of taking a step back and just going deep within, and just at least for me, sort of allowing
Mhm.
and so I get that, and I'm really glad that that's, yeah, because I haven't even seen it yet, but I heard you got a video out today.
Yeah, the one that went out, that's up there, that went out today, is just it's a very short one, and it's a welcome video. It's right now, it's on the front of the front page of the Living Life in HD, and it just kind of gives you a very snippet about what's there and what's going on. One of the things this relates back to when we were talking about how if we're focusing on something and something comes forward, and sometimes we may be thinking we're focusing on one thing, and I'm talking in the good vein, right? So we may be thinking that we're focusing on something, and at a computer I'm typing in something that I'm writing. If I'm writing a piece that's going online, then I'll usually type it online because I'm connecting to the energetic envelope of that. And so I was writing, I think it was one of the pieces that are under the tab of On the Path, or I think something around that section and I was typing something about in that page, and all of a sudden my fingers are typing, and yes, we would love we're looking for those who want to play and be in a patron or a sponsorship role for this. And I said, okay, well, that's the first anybody's let me know about that. And then I got, so since I know better and cleared all that out, I said, okay, well, great. Let me just, change that a little bit. But what was fascinating, because there was a whole conversation, whole storyline that I think from past experience wasn't let to come through the keyboard and the fingers prior to it coming out, onto the electronic screen. So in other words, it was there, and then I saw it and thought, oh, okay, well, apparently that's what we're doing now. But what came in right after that was this most amazing, and that's not a good term because they all are that way, but this video came in of the scope and the breadth and the depth of what Notes from the Path was the section that I was talking about. And see, it talks about going and not only doing it in a virtual, so if someone's in a state that I'm not in or a country that I'm not in, to figure out a way and have it set up so that there can be conversation, there can be a non-local, meaning geographic non-local, remote to where that person is, to capture what they're doing. If they've created a new business or a new service or a new structure or a new system, whether it's how to bring water to a community or how to purify something or how to anything that you can think of and probably have never even considered yet, that will be part of that. So those things are involved in that. And I thought, well, yeah, great. Let's see, there may be some, that's why I wrote it the way I did, because those people who can feel it was important and part of the energetic envelope of that page to have that all happen the way it did. So just to break it down, it was me as just a linear, busy at a computer, typing something into a web page as I build it, and then have it go live on the site, right? But what was really happening was there was a whole conversation with the expansiveness of my, I'll say, energetic team or etheric team, right? And going through and a connecting to and a touching of the pre-matter template of what's already there, so much so that it was complete with videos of what that is. So one thing, just as an aside to that, at fun times now, things will come in through these videos, and I'll if I can kind of train myself to catch a particular thing, if I can find a particular thing in the video, I'll go look up that thing that never before I've seen it, but I noticed it. Street sign, it was a business sign, it was a whatever, right? Kind of car or model of a car. And when that is all done, whatever I was doing there, I use, that's why I cover pad everywhere now. I just scribble a note down and go research it, and I can find exactly what it was that was in there that, if it was something that's just a new model or just something that there's no way I would know, So I think that's
Right.
it. So there's a bleed through in the reverse, and there's also an envisioning forward.
Right. Well, I love that you were able to feel that and then just allow that, because some people, me, thinking about me, might not have been able to, catch what was going on there. So that's awesome. Well, I'm really excited about all of it, and I because I kind of, well, I've said to you before that even with some of these trainings that you have been going through, to pull all of this together for yourself. Um, Me personally, I've like for the last year or so, I've sensed with you very much this, and I've said this before. I think everyone is going to be doing things, brand new things, pulling things in uh, from the pre-matter template. And I shared with you privately that I before you actually started on some of these things, that I felt that there was something specific that you would be doing with land, and then you are also now going to be doing things with the land. But even through that, there's more. I feel that will be coming for you from that. It's like well, any of the things that I teach, which I'm not doing any of that publicly right now, but, tarot, Reiki, energy healing, whatever. I like to give the basics, right? Just the way they were taught to me. But I'm very clear, very clear within my being that each singularity has gifts that will, when you feel drawn to do something and you go and seek that out, or whatever it is, because this is the known, right? And so we might have, at least this is what's happening for me. We have feelings and thoughts and things come in. You have videos, and we, at the moment, for me anyway, I try to decode the information. And so sometimes what I've noticed about me is, well, I got only what I already know to compare it to. But I'm also open enough to know that if I feel drawn to that and I move towards it, I also feel like there will be more than just that. And that's what I'm speaking on here. So like I have someone that I was instructing in Reiki. And I said, I'm going to teach you the basics just the way I was taught. However, I want you to know right now that this is not something you have to do exactly like this forevermore, the end. And that feeling free to pull in your own gifts and whatever more, because I feel like just those things open us up to well, at least it was for me, with Reiki being the first thing I moved towards. It opened me up energetically, so to speak, to receive other information, and knowings and intuition became sharper, and all of those sorts of things, right? And so I feel like, again, with you moved towards that, a very specific thing, but I also feel like there's more that you're going to be doing with that, developing and tweaking it, adding other things to it that will be solely yours. And I think that everyone is doing that, because that's what we're doing now. I mean, not everybody realizes it yet. They may be feeling it and they're not quite sure, and they look around, whatever. Okay, but that's
And
not
trust
really
is,
you.
yeah, trust is the big part of that. Noticing, trust, and letting go. It's interesting. I made some notes when you were talking, because you bring up such good points for people to really. Maybe the simplest way to do it is to just breathe into where you are in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So you could focus, you could notice, you could take action. Yes, yes, and yes. But you know, when I was typing and the thing about putting this idea out for requesting a patron sponsorship, for me in the chair, it was like, say what? But since I'm part of a team and, you know, I say, okay, I thought, and it was already out there. So there was no coincidence in that. And then it came right in when my brain wanted to go, but, you know, this whole thing, I thought, well, yeah, that's a pretty beautiful thing and expansive and could be helpful and fun and engaging for all sorts of beings all over. Let's do that. I had, you know, I got shoved right beyond the, excuse me, I can't do that, into that. You mentioned something. So two things that came to mind. I wanted to share a little story. You said where you're drawing it to you. If you've drawn it to you, and then there's a match. You know, there's an energetic match. It's as I would say, it's part of your soul whispering to your soul blueprint, whispering to you, which is part of what I do in the soul inspired blueprint readings, is to show you what you and your soul talked about, because I'm speaking with them, your soul, and those codes and all of that that's within you, and how to move forward to bring it to fruition. Because if you've thought about it, if you've thought, I've always wanted to do X, or that seems really interesting, or wow, I love that, or it feels good, or whatever your words, phrasing, whatever that is, if it's moving forward and expansive in any way, shape, or form, that's already within you, right? So that's already there. So an example, and there'll be others that I'll give, but right in this moment, what came was I was having a particularly non-fun moment trying to get something. I believe it might have been when I was supposed to be working on New Year's Day, which I was, but I was taking moments here and there to get the site because I wanted to get it out and live on the 1st. I knew that was important for me personally in the shirt and all of the all with me. Anyway, so I was doing it, and I think I might have been a little overwrought, and you know, tears streaming my eyes, going, it shouldn't be this expletive hard. It shouldn't be this complicated. It shouldn't be this hard. I was trying to do some graphic design and some other things, all this, so I could do these little pieces together. Because you know, you go to do one piece and it's okay, that's coding, and you do one piece and it's graphics. And I'm like, I don't have time to go learn this really cool program that I have, that I got for when I have time, so I can do all these things. I have the program. I have no idea how to do it. I need to do this now. And the 1st of the year is clicking by. And since we still live in a time zone where time exists, I need some help. And in that moment, with great power behind it, and you know, not upsetness, but overwroughtness, I said, just show me how I do this. So out loud, voicing it, I just said, I want to do this related to a graphic design program to create a component that I needed to go up. So somewhere on here, there should be something that lets me do this. Show me where it is. And I, you know, wasn't in the best energy frequency, but I absolutely wholehearted was behind it, and the intention was expansive. And so either a thought would bloom in my mind, look under that tab, or I would be nudged, almost like, you know, my mouse and hand, click there, now do that. And it was this wonderful dance. And I thought, well, this isn't quite how I envisioned learning how to do this or actually getting this done, but this is pretty cool. And so that ties into what you were talking about before, that there are all of these, and this is for everyone, but just from my experience that I've happened in a very condensed 17-month period, is that they're frameworks, their protocols, their modalities with healing arts and all sorts of things, and a combination of those that are coming from me into me, that with my hand and my heart and my higher mind, I can lay them into the combination of the physical, the etheric, the energetic, the emotional, all of the bodies, and and work them out from there. And that brings what I would sum up as one of the um, greatest part of the journey for me, and I think can be a real gift for others, is that in this process of building, and I don't know that that it's just related to a neuro business, but I think it is that I've approached it intentionally from, thinking I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be doing what I'm. Not only is it past time and there's more things to do, and I keep getting nudged. You need to go out and play bigger and all that kind of stuff from all realms, physical and non. But I finally said, same kind of actually energetic of, this shouldn't be this hard, I'm just saying. I said, I just want to do what I want to do, how I want to do it, when I do it, and have it connect with people who would enjoy that. If it's a product or just a get together or a community thing or a service or whatever it is. And because it's fun for them, or it helps them, or it's creative for them, or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to do that. And I wrote a bit about this. And so, well, what I had just done was called forth a recipe for creating my new life and my new business. I didn't know it in that moment. I just was giving voice to, I'm not really very happy, and couldn't I do something that's a little bit more fun?
Please.
Right. And what that gift to me was, and I know it can be a gift to so many others in different ways that I can share or facilitate it with them, or a whole myriad of things, is that I'm my best customer. So I had started in this journey, I started the business, the new earth business, the new life, a while ago, and it's taken on shape. And yes, it will soon be getting on wheels and going and exploring all of Gaia and doing big, wonderful, co-creative things out there. But in that process, so I wanted to learn, how do I do X? Or how do I shift feeling X? And so a lot of inner training from within me, just all in my energetic code, physical and non-physical. And then reaching out to others that would help, that were on the physical plane, and a combination of the non-physical. So all those things. And so I would take those trainings, take those modalities, and as soon as they were in me, because I called them forth for a specific desire or problem or solution or creation thing I wanted to, does that make sense?
Right.
They changed, and they were kind of like wherever I was given to them from, whether it was an archangel or one of my team or my soul or whatever it was, or someone that worked with those beings as well and had a physical business, right? Or something that was the land alchemy training. It could be a combination of all those things. As soon as they came, it's almost like they were in the water. Let's say someone says, hey, here's a glass of water, during the training. So that was part of the training. But as soon as it was in me, it connected and came into coherence with all of me. And I don't mean just me in the shirt and my soul. I mean, because this is what we're doing right now, is all of us is coming back into us, right? And that's how we have physical body ascension. That's how we're in this hyper accelerated phase of expansion, evolution, right? And ascension to the greater part of us. We're going right to the chair that we're sitting in right this moment, but all of us. And as soon as that happens, right? So you could say we're going back to original, which is what supersedes the false construct portion that we're in now, and that's coming down, original. But in that same instant, and I'm just going to talk linear terms here, because in in other terms, there is no whatever, past, present, future. But in that same instant, you're something so much bigger than you were in the moment that that starts. So you are already a more advanced being, or a more talented, or a more DNA activated being, or however you want to say, more superpowers on board, right? Any of and all of those things, and so many more, right? Because now it's come into coherence, and you're in vibrating in resonance with all of you, in all of your, when we go to do something, you could say in this world, in this life right here, or in a past life or whatever, where you had a mastery at something, it was in within your DNA, and it had, this is a much bigger conversation, so I'll do it in a very shallow thing, but you know, it had come online, and so that mastery was there, and it came to fruition in whatever that lifetime. So whether you were a doctor or this amazing pianist or whatever it was, right? And so that's within you. Now you finish that lifetime and you go into another one, and you may or may not have, let's say if it was a pianist, it may have anything to do with piano. You may like the piano or whatever, right? Or maybe there aren't pianos in that next time frame or whatever it is. But it's in there. And so everyone can do this. I just was in the process of wanting to call this forth and actually doing training and studying so that I can help others do that. But mostly until I got to anybody else to put me first to do that, and called it in. And so I turned on through a lot of this originally was through the great white whale and dolphin sound healing training that I'm going through, which is a long process, but it was turning those on in this body. So I have access to those latent memories, abilities, mastery, all of that kind of stuff, bringing it on board. And then, like I said, when I call something forth, or call a person forth to teach me or mentor me or whatever it is, I have it as it exists back then. And I don't know this answer for all beings. I know that everybody can do what I'm doing, right? Because you're just as special as I am. But people may do it differently. My thought is, well, that's cool, but I want it to be in a cohesive structure within this me, right? So if I was Superwoman in another thing, well, that's cool. And, you know, I wouldn't mind the bracelet spinny thing, but I'd like to add that to the other talents that are unique to me in this shirt, if that makes sense. And so it's an amalgamation. It's the cosmic cookie bowl where I'm stirring all this together, and it's coming, and I'm learning how to use all of that. And so the being my best customer, so here I didn't know it. I thought, well, I want to do this. I want to build a business and put it out there, and hopefully it'll be a benefit to others. And I can stop working at this job. I can, you know, have a living and be of service and have fun and, you know, move from here and go on my merry way. And that's a reasonable way to think about it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
What I didn't realize was that I was in the very act, and this is why it's very important to realize, the very act of giving voice to that, whether you're in your head, or it's very helpful to get out of there and be in the whole body doing that, and actually give voice where you can, it's audible, and the vibrational tone, you're toning to yourself, comes forward, because that sets a whole frequency. In the act of me doing that, in that moment, I started the business. And so I was looking on my menu, on my internal website. Okay, well, what kind of services does this BZ person have that would help me fix this, let go of this, gain that, learn how to do that, mastery it, right? You know, all those kinds of things, as if we go to any website and think, well, hey, you know, they got anything a course that might be fun or interesting or help me, right? And And as I was doing that, I was consuming that, right? I was having a relationship with that. That was a business, and I was saying, yeah, I'll take that, and I'll take that, and I want this, and I'll work with that. And I was a very happy customer because I was learning how to do all these things. And to help the little me in the shirt, I was then seeing what actually worked, and how, whoa, when it worked, whether it was a get rid of, add on, expand, enhance, master, whatever, that's some pretty good, lip balm or whatever, just to use a different metaphors. And I could see, so I didn't, the little me in the shirt couldn't be little, number one, and couldn't have, oh, I don't know, kind of stuff, because I could see the changes within me, or healings with Xander is one example, all sorts of different things. Or if someone just happened to ask me, totally unrelated to a broader conscious perspective, like where I work, they'd say, well, do you know how to do this, or can you help with that? And I would, again, not think about it. I would just intuitively go to do whatever, I don't know how to describe it, whatever flow or sync that I was in now taking on board, and saying, well, it feels like this, or I'm noticing this, and then have that person, whether it was related to a physical thing, or a body part, or an animal, or whatever, right, or a mindset thing, that it would shift and change, and they'd look at me and go, how did you do that? I said, you just never know. Because I'm going, how did I do that? So,
By the way, I don't mind doing
I'll get
cool
the
stuff,
notes
but
after class and let you know.
well, I think that I think that a lot of folks are finding that they're surprising themselves with different things. You spoke on how the moment you voiced, you toned what it was that you desired, and you really just sort of, again, what I saw there was a trust fall into you trusting you, and you were able to do what it was that you needed to do, right? You showed you, the larger portion of you showed you what to do, because honestly, on some level, I mean, I've experienced a little bit of this, but not to this degree. And when I see, sense, and feel in the story that you shared just there, because, I'm not computer illiterate myself. I'm not the greatest, but I'm not computer illiterate myself. But learning something new, specifically if it's a brand new program and you don't know where anything is, and you're feeling a little time crunchy.
You're feeling like this?
Yeah. It doesn't normally happen the way you shared. Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't.
It certainly never has for me. Let's just put it that way. And
it has never for me either.
But I have heard of others that are experiencing very much what you just shared. I've had a similar experience where, something was going on, and I just put it right out into the field. Okay, I would like X, please. And within 5 minutes, X showed up. So I really do feel like, that's another reason I've really been, paying very close attention to what I'm thinking as well. Because for me, what I've come to in these moments now, I'm open to changing that see, sense, and feeling about what I'm about to say at any moment. But at this moment, what it feels like to me is that my thinking is what creates it in the pre-matter template. If I then speak to reinforce my thinking, and I'm speaking on stuff I don't want, I'm thinking about what I don't want. I'll speak what I don't want, and maybe not in the terms about in the proper way or whatever. I can see where it would not be a good thing either, because I also know that the universe just says yes, no matter what you're thinking or speaking, it says yes. And so for me, but I have experienced that very much what you were speaking on there. And so for me, that's why I'm trying to make sure I keep my thinking, my thoughts, just my thoughts in alignment with what I desire and not what I don't desire.
Mhm.
And also then, reinforcing it with, you know, good, positive, reinforcing speak to myself rather than, because hey, I'm sure everybody has experienced this. You do something and go, oh, that was brilliant, or that was really bright, Sheila. I've done that, can't I tell you?
Right.
And that's not the way to speak to myself.
No.
I know that.
And I wasn't doing, because I've worked really long and hard for decades to not do this, but I didn't do it. But I just said a simple statement, declarative, very declarative. It should not be this hard, right?
Right. But then
But
you
in
also
that
followed it
moment,
up with show me.
yes, I did. And in that
That's why I
moment, it
said,
was akin to Trinity walking out and needing to learn how to instantaneously fly a helicopter. Okay. So I don't know
right.
if any people are familiar with.
Oh, please, girl. I don't know if you were aware, but the Matrix Resurrection is out and
No,
it's
no,
on.
that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you're familiar with doing graphic design and on the programs that can do cool things. It's about as friggin' as a helicopter, right? Helicopter might be easier because you pull the lever and either you go zoom, zoom, right? Anyways, so and the other part, aside from giving voice and asking for the help, was the appreciation. Now, one might not think that in the time crunch in the little vignette I've described, one would be an appreciation. But when I was, from the red eyes and the kind of thing to then happen, I thought, well, that's pretty cool. Wow, I like that. Keep it coming. I'll do my best to get the little subtle signals and all this kind of stuff. But wow, I appreciate that. That's great. Now this is a team. Let's keep doing this, right? In the middle, my blood pressure hadn't gone down, all that. But in the middle, I was being all the different components of me in that moment, right, and bringing them forward.
Right. Wow. Well, what else do you have on that website? Is there anything else you want to cover on there?
Well, there's stuff that you can't see that's in the process of being built, but I'll give a little teaser, and that's related to the title of, how do you build the business or the life that you want, and practical magic. Because I heard when I was speaking, then you were sharing that whole really important piece about giving voice to it. I heard someone said, well, yeah, but that's woo-woo stuff, most of what you're talking about. And so immediately, right, you can think there's a picture that you've seen that popped right in it's right outside. So it drove right into my view screen. And so this will be just a little teaser here. So, but yes, I've also done it with changing a dog and all that kind of stuff. So very physical stuff. And all the stuff I've talked about has been very physical in my world. I mean, like I can slap my own skin physical.
Right.
So here's an example with a vehicle. And a whole process of wanting something, giving voice to it, working on it, having a plan, having in my mind's eye, doing research, envisioning it from an internal way, from an external way, from a going to dealerships and looking at it and conversing with people. And then things not quite working right or whatever, and having to change this. First, the thought was to go and get a large truck, a 350, which is a full 1-ton truck to pull a fifth wheel, and have that be part of my journey. You'll see some of this on the website, the Living Life in HD. And so for various reasons on the ground and the crumbling down and other things, that couldn't come out. And I thought, well, that's very upsetting and disappointing. So now what do I do? And I know I'm supposed to be moving forward because I know everything else is on the right track. I am in alignment with my soul. I'm not just coming up with these things because when I look at something or feel something or experience something, all sorts of miracles, tangible and etheric, happen all over the place. And it feels great within me, which is a very clear signal of that you are in alignment with your soul. So what you're saying and thinking and feeling you want is a match to what in your highest and best good is that your soul wants. That's a simple way to describe that. So, but I couldn't see it. So I thought, well, okay. So long story short, a little bit of tease. Then I think, okay, well, different things happen. And I thought, okay, a smaller truck and a smaller RV behind it, looking into that. But still thinking, because I was thinking that once the new exchange of value and currency systems, and no, I'm not talking about the out there crumbly reset sort of thing, which nobody who has an open heart is going to want in any way, shape, or form. I've been saying that for years, but anyways, you'll see it for yourself. So I thought, but I couldn't see it. So I was playing with different things. And all of a sudden, within maybe a 10-day period, I went from this plan, and letting it go and thinking, okay, well, I still know everything else and I want this, came into a smaller size truck and educating myself with that, to it sitting in my yard. And the first plan was on, when the bridging mechanism between not needing a kind of a metaphor for exchange of value, but we have the FRNs, Federal Reserve notes now, that's going away, and the central bank is all coming down, right? But so there's gonna be a bridge in between, and that would be my intuition and my guidance and all that are assisting me is that it's silver and some cryptos. I don't have a lot, but I have enough so that when it changes, it will be dramatic because it will be unthwarted, would be a simple way to put it. And so that would allow me to do the thing. But that wasn't coming into, so I thought, okay, well, show me. So anyways, that was in a quantity. So in a 10-day period from, well, isn't that interesting? From the 1st of December, I'm not sure what I triggered or turned on or lit up or fed enough, right? From that to, and I didn't even think about how. I just was nudged to go to take this step and take this step and take this step and take this step. And the teaser is what did I use to pay for it? A few greenbacks, a nice looking, but a 90,000 mile used car. That was a dog car, although I cleaned it up pretty good. Used that. And I was very upfront with the people. I said, I don't play in the financial slavery system, and I don't play in your credit score system. I just don't do it. I don't have any debt, and I don't play that way. So if you still like to play with me, I'd love to come in, because I know you would like my car as a trade-in and, the few greenbacks that I will give you. So I went in and, I didn't need the car. Yes, would my heart like it and make me happy because it'd be a tangible step on the road? Yeah, but I need the car. So I came in with all of me in that power and had the conversations and looked at this and walked out with the vehicle. And the last little bit of the teaser is, they asked me, do you know what you're going to say? No, I don't pay any attention to that because I don't play in the game. And they said, well, okay, we're in the part of negotiations now, so we have to ask you officially if we can, check your credit score, because that's going to be a hard hit. I said, well, that's fine with me. I don't have a problem with that. And so they did. And they come, so you have to sign a paper that says, yes, you can check my credit score. And so they go off and they do their thing. And I had given them fair warning. I mean, no, I am nothing but forthright and honest and open-hearted. And I said, and very confident about it. And they came back and, a little while later, and they handed me a piece of paper, which is the printed out, credit report and stuff. And so there's boilerplate language around all of that.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at reading past the boilerplate stuff for the, the busy part. Where is, right, because a credit report is never supposed to be fairly long, especially when you're going in to talk to their finance guys. And so I finally found, I, saw my name and my credit score was 0, which I just was tickled pink with that. And I looked up from the paper at them and I said, yeah, okay, good. So what you got? And they said, well, we found a lender and this, that, and the other thing for the portion that you want to do. And so great. So I said, great, let's do it. And they were gone. So their jaws were down to their floor because they had, first of all, they'd never seen a 0 credit score. And it had all been clean because I gave voice, I don't know, many years ago. I said, should I ever want to play my way in their system, I command that it all is cleared. I didn't know that would mean it would disappear or that it would be a 0. I figured it was a positive.
Okay.
It was a positive statement. So, who might argue, right? Because
I was going to say, I'll take it. I wouldn't mind taking that, but
Yeah.
hey.
because I'm trusting.
Mhm.
Because that's not an intellectual exercise, right? Which I learned years and years ago. It's, it's not this, it's not airy-fairy and it's not woo-woo, and it's a lot of hard work to be all of you, to be 100% responsible and in your consciousness and keep widening your consciousness aperture as far as you can in every given moment. Hold it there and keep going out.
Right.
Anyway, so that's just a teaser. I think I have a picture on my phone. I'll put one up. But there's a video on the new site Living Life in HD, and that is a celebration tree bath walk. And that was taken on the 15th, which was the day after, and we used that to drive up a ways in the new vehicle. We went for our maiden voyage, so I'll put some of those pictures up. And yeah. And it's, now the next year, and nobody's coming back asking for
Yeah, that's right. Well, I don't think, that they wouldn't do that. No, that it's a done deal. After all that time, it's almost 30 days. Yeah, that's a done
but
deal.
all that story is to say that it happens. This works because it's who you are, who I am, who you are. You are just as magical as I am. Absolutely.
All of us. Yep.
Yeah, just as magical. And
Totally
it works because you trust in yourself and you work at trusting yourself and all of you, and you move through it. And you can't get much more tangible, because everybody knows how maybe not in depth, but the credit scores work, and everybody says credit score, all this kind of baloney about that. And so you walk in with a car with 90,000 miles on it and, 0 credit score and really literally just a few greenbacks, and you drive home with the truck. That's what we are all about. It's not that it's this fancy thing or that's fancy thing. It's simply materializing what in that moment makes our heart sing, which is expansive, which is in alignment with our soul, which when that happens is in service to all.
Yes.
You can take it beyond that, but in that moment, in and of itself, just that complete end of story, full stop, period, is of service to the all, because that's teaching all is an excellent. And it's an explanation, an experience, an example of being in alignment. So when I walked into, and I didn't know at the time, but I had a thought, but when I saw this unfold in the dealership, big dealership, and all these people, and they were all passing the thing around in the back in the sales manager's department going, holy shit, right? Have you ever, no, right? Because it was infusing into the system, not only this is a weird, really effed up system, and look at this one walking in. And I had bought, turned out, I didn't remember because it was satellite, but the car I was turning in, I had done the loan through them, which wasn't on the credit report either. And they know it because I had it with them.
Yeah, see, that's what gets me right there. It's that you bought the car that you were trading in from them, and there was a finance deal on that, and it still didn't register on. See, that to me speaks more to the magic as well, because it was your desire to have that 0 credit score. A lot of people, I'm going to tell you right now, BZ, people hear you had a 0 credit score and they're like, well, why is she so happy about that? Because that's not good. And I'm saying, no, well, I guess it depends on your perspective.
Well,
and
it is, because I'm not in that slavery system. And you can go, give me a day, you can go to the Living Life in HD website and see the nice picture of the nice Aussies in the nice truck about to go for a ride.
Right.
Which is then wheels to geographically begin my new life.
Well, and before we part, I can't help but bring this forward, because you and I and Lisa, we kind of chatted about it one evening. The ripples that went out from your interaction with the dealership, as far as I'm concerned, are also an added benefit, because some of the conversations that you had with the young man that you were dealing with, that you shared, it's just those ripples, and they are absolutely, we emanate this in our fields regardless. When each one of us are out and just going about our regular lives, we carry around in our fields everything that we are going through, dealing with, thinking, feeling, everything. It doesn't matter. It's all in the field. That's the way I feel about it. We've had conversations about that before. So, and this for me goes to the practical magic portion of it. Okay, of our conversation here tonight. For me, moving into, because now I'm trying to make it more of a habit of my focus and attention, bringing my focus and attention to the now as much as I can in the very moment that I'm in, instead of thinking about what I got to do tomorrow, or, oh my God, that bill's due, or whatever, right? Every single thing I carry in my field, good, bad, indifferent, is all with me everywhere I go. And I'm emanating that on top of whatever blueprint energies that I asked to come in here, which is another reason why, I wanted you to bring the soul blueprint, inspired soul blueprint forward as well, because that too is something that you are adding, you are already and will be doing more, from what I see, making it again, very specifically, something you're bringing in. But at least for me, the getting to know me, looking into all these different things that are giving me insights into me, right? We've kind of talked about these things before. Help me in my field. We emanate all of that, no matter what we're doing, and the thoughts about who we are and what we're doing. If we have one perspective that perhaps isn't the best and not in alignment with what my desire is, I'm still carrying it around in my field. And it can be felt, and it emanates and ripples outward. So I want to be very present and carry only that and speak only that I wish to have materialized, because I'm telling you, that's happening quicker and quicker, I think. And so it's in our field. So you just your what's, and I know it wasn't a great goobs of conversation, but you carried all of what you are in your field, and all of that rippled out in not just in that dealership, but like you said, they were in the back room passing that around, and you also know there had to be at least one or two in there. What does she mean, the financial slavery system?
Well,
Now,
and
if they
it's,
used
and
five
it's still,
seconds of thought, they would have got it. But
and it still keeps going because I've called about a question, and then it's like I said, a big place. I'm just one of a bazillion people in there going, "Hey, BZ, how's it going?" Okay, slightly unusual name, but nonetheless. But the sales manager who I worked with, and I think there's a team of 10 or something, he called, "How's it going? Anything? And this was interesting." Well, that's beyond good customer service. That's just because there's such an intriguing animal, and not so much has less to do about me. And what it has really to do, and here's again practical magic, it has to do with how they felt in their interaction. So what part more of all of them did they come into connection with, because I was standing there facilitating them, right? So
right,
again, it just in this moment occurred to me, I put my living life in HD life in that dealership, but my business was, so I was actually doing part of my business in that thing, as if it
yes,
was a workshop or a soul inspired blueprint reading or any of those kinds of things, and it was happening. And the focus of tonight was to, and I appreciate this, to share a little bit more about the living life in HD, but the title is just how do you create a new earth business and a life. So a new earth life, all of that. It's practical magic. And so that would be a very short summation of what the business of living life in HD is, lets people avail themselves of in a very myriad of ways. I think, well, they haven't told me all of them yet, but beyond what is in in the usual type of business like that, because it relates to, as everything always has, but now it absolutely is locked in that way, to who each being is and how they are committed to themselves and how they love themselves and how they trust themselves and how they're in alignment with themselves. So, okay, that's a very interesting. Okay, I'm going to say it. So in essence, the business is, it's a way where your soul calls, your soul is calling through you itself forth, and the different modalities, programs, workshops, any of those kinds of things, is you talking to you, and I just happen to be the linear facilitator for that.
yep. I created a hashtag about that exact thing that you're speaking on there, and that is messages from me to me through you. And that's really, because that's what we're doing. That's what we really, all of us do. When, not only did because, well, you helped me see that, BZ, back in 2017, 2018. I called you forth and you called me forth. There's no other way to look about it. When you feel drawn to folks and you do things with folks, there's something for each within that. And the gifts on both sides, and the practical magic, actually,
Right.
that for me anyway, opening myself up to me, really, that's all it was. It was opening myself up to me. Let's just be really clear here.
Yes.
A lot of folks want to talk about the woo woo, and let's open ourselves up to ghosties and goblins and aliens and all these, really, when it's all just you. But that's okay. I mean, if you got to have that scary stuff to figure it out, that's all right. I get it because I had that myself for a while too, but it really is all just us. And in different forms and fashions, absolutely, but it really is just all us. And I don't know, it's just I'm so thankful that you wanted to come here and share this with us first. And because I know you have your own channel, and but this video will live on your channel too. But I want to thank you because it's actually I feel honored anytime anyone wants to come and have a chat with me. And this is important for you. I know that. And it's actually important for all of us, I feel, because as you do actually step out from there and begin to make your way, we it's not it doesn't appear anywhere but your BQA, or no, I think does your BQH session on
It's going to go
on
up.
the
It's going to go on Living Life in HD because it talks about the pre-matter. Well, it shows you being in the pre-matter template. So now is the right timing for that to go out because experience, and you can also see how the act of a great facilitator in doing all that, especially when the person who's doing the having the BQH session does. I said, well, if I take this is the beyond part, right? So I want, if you're feeling and you're in this movie, this interaction scape together, and you feel called forth to ask a question, well, that's the whole idea. You talked about when people are co-creating, it's a gift for them and a gift for me. Yes. And I would add to that, very important, is that because Trinity, so the triality, is the point of creational force. It is the magic wand, the power, the big bang. It's all of those things. And so the one you didn't give voice to was the gift for you, and then any you, I'll just a gift for me. But that third part, right, the triality, is the gift in that brings forth to the all,
yes.
because it changes everything.
No, you're
It
right.
brings it in and moves it forward.
Yep. You're
So
no, you're
yeah,
absolutely right on that.
I'll put those. There's two of them. One of them, they're actually quite interesting. One of them is about actually going into and reporting directly back from the pre-matter template
Yep.
of the all, not just
Yep.
mine.
Yeah, listen, that was an exciting BQH for me. So as facilitator, I enjoyed that.
Sheila says, "Well, step right in the pool there. Go underneath." And what do you say? I'm like, okay.
Yeah, see, let me just say this. If anybody's ever had a BQH session and you come have a BQH session with me, it's going to be a little different. Because I don't what I've noticed about myself when I do those things is and I don't know if this is okay or not. I guess it would have to be. I kind of like I do with everything, kind of go with my intuition. And so I'll ask questions, and
Yeah.
because actually Journey Intuitive, if she's still here, I kind of feel like she does the same thing.
Well, she
Just a
did with
very,
me because I asked her
yeah,
to. I said,
yeah,
because she would be intrigued by things that were coming, and I'd say, well, we're playing, and this is beyond, QHD.
yep,
So let's bring the beyond. That's one of the reasons, with the soul inspired blueprints, it was another piece to something that I've been seeing different dots and different pieces of the puzzle for decades. And I was looking into it just to have a reading for myself, because this was something I knew that would help me lock in some of former DNA and all different things. And
right,
I went from scheduling the reading to doing a little bit more research internally and outwardly about it, to signing up for the very in-depth Oracle training before I'd had my reading, because I knew, it was familiar to me. It was, and then as I went through that whole process, again, being my own customer to my own business, which I didn't know what was happening at the time, and did this, and the magic and the doors opening and the expansion and the learning and all that is good fun, cosmically delicious stuff, but maybe the best would be the getting out of my own way to realize, you don't need to have that heartache. You don't need to have that frustration. You don't need to have those challenges or this kind of thing, unless you
Right.
want them, right? So all of that was really cool. And one of the things that attracted me to the whole thing is because it's drawn from your soul to you. I'm just showing up in that moment as the physical conduit that is bringing the message from your soul to you. And from the training standpoint, for me going through the whole in-depth Oracle training to do all of this, it wasn't you have to do this and stand with your head this and your hand right and wear these kind of shoes and do this kind of stuff and only say it this way or only look this way, because that wouldn't attract me at all. What it was is that when you do this, it is such an expansive, because it's directly from your soul to you and source in the system. When you meet, my words to describe is when you meet it, it then changes. It's that new protocol, that new methodology, that new healing arts, and all of those things, that is birthed for the very first time along the supportingness of what came before.
Right.
And I watched it. I mean, I had a client where I would be working on the thing that I do ahead of time and spoke to them and they're like, I don't know what you're doing, but it's really cool. And I'm like, what are you talking about? what do you mean? You can feel what I mean? Yeah, it's really, really cool. I thought, okay. Because there was someone external to me who was showing me the same things that when I was doing it with myself, had experienced. And I thought it was just my delusion. So either this is a universal thing, or I attract a lot of also delusional people, which, could be.
Well, I guess we'll just come right on out with it while we be eating. No.
Anyways, it's been very, very fun and interesting. And from what I know, no longer can any of us be small, nor would we want to, and least of all me. And that, yes, as this process goes, and I leave from here, the rocket's red glare and all of that thing will be fascinating. And people that I just come into, again, from your hashtag, right? Message from me to me from you. I encounter people where I may not have told them much about something, or they don't even understand much of it, or a more deeper connection. And I'll just, like someone else as a friend, and I was referencing a story, someone had gotten in touch and said, I was thinking about you, or I had this dream or vision or whatever, and I was meeting you, and they gave a detail about that, and I laughed. I thought, well, that's interesting. And I told them a little bit of what had been going on, and I was sharing this with the friend later, another time, and and I'm watching, it's on Zoom, and I'm watching her reaction, and she kind of goes like this, wow, that was so cool. And I'm like, okay, what? And she never had video herself, the way I described them, come in. And she said, but what she experienced, and it wasn't really visual, it was more all body kind of thing, but for lack of a better word, she said a vision of it, of okay, I'll be completely, why not? It's time to start anyways. I'll be completely That's the word I'm looking for. Authentic and vulnerable, and say that this particular thing was about my divine counterpart, and a connection there. And what this friend experienced when I didn't think I was, I just thought I was relaying kind of a funny, because the other person had said, well, yeah, I had a dream about it. I met, you introduced your new husband to me. And I thought, well, that's pretty funny. And, and so anyway, so as I was describing a little bit of that and something else, what this envisioning, for lack of a better term, that this person had was of a time and a place, just a little forward, and what the connection of myself and this other being meant, stop please, for going out and playing and creating and bringing things into being. It was kind of the way that she described it. And I thought, just watching the TV of someone else's TV, I thought, well, that sounds fun. Oh, let's do that. So we're doing this all the time. We need to get out of the rubble and the trepidation and the chaosness and the concern about all of that. It's there. Don't bypass it. Don't ignore it. Don't la it. Integrate it, acknowledge it, and be in center and be in neutrality, particularly neutrality and your heart. Yes, that's going down. Yes, it's difficult even for me right this moment. If it's you talking or me talking, that's difficult, or whatever you would words describe it. But be in that heart space. Be in that neutrality, and take the next step, even if it's tiny minuscule step forward in your expansion and what you want. And as you said, the ground comes beneath you, the wings lift you up, the clouds come in, hey, you know how to use an expensive piece of software to create these things when a minute ago you had no idea how to do it. Or you have a really, handsome vroom vroom vehicle out there with a 0 credit score. Who knew?
That's right. Who knew? Practical magic. I love it. Well, BZ, I'm so glad that you came, that you, and like I said, I'm very honored that you chose to come and have the conversation with me first. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And now that you are going to go ahead and put the BQH session up, I will do the same, because I did want to create a playlist on Corona Rising for those who wish to share their BQH sessions for it to live. Okay. Are you going to put it up in its entirety, or did you have the plan to edit it? Because, I don't edit. So if there was something
I think if there was just a lot of prep stuff that really isn't all that interesting or necessary, I was going to take that off. So I'm happy to send you
I would love that. That way we've got we've both.
I just want to make it as short as possible, so that.
Right.
That it's,
I gotcha. No, I agree, because BQH sessions do run long.
Yeah.
And, so, and some folks may not want to sit through a 3 or 4 hour video. I get it. Hey.
Well, if I'm doing that anyways, like I say, I'll prune it on either end just for more brevity, but I'll scrub through quick, and I can put in the timestamps.
Okay, that'd be awesome. And then so you'll send that to me, and that will live also on Corona Rising. And thank you for bringing that up. I had not, even on Conscious Conversation Central, I have not put any of the BQH sessions that I've done up. I haven't asked for permission from anyone either, so it's not like anything like that, because I was just really kind of practicing and getting my feet wet. And I have opened the schedule. If anyone's ever interested, they can, hit me up at consciousconversationcentral@gmail.com. But thank you for bringing that forward. That's very cool.
Yeah, if people want to play, I'll just throw this in here. If people want to play, in having a BQH session, in getting in touch with more of themselves, in experiencing their own fantastical and bringing it forward where you can remember it and you can empower yourself long after BQH, then a BQH is for you. From my experience and direct experience of knowing, not all BQH or QHHT practitioners are the same.
That's
So
right.
ones that can be clean and clear and that can be intuitive and that want to really trust themselves to play big when you're trusting yourself and playing big, right? Whatever, and the big is whatever that description is for you personally.
Right.
Then as it relates to the BQH sessions, Sheila Corona is one I would absolutely recommend. And
Oh, thank you.
Crystal is another one.
I was going to say, I was getting ready to say, yeah, we got to give Journey Intuit a shout out, because I'm going to tell you, I would not be a BQH practitioner right now if it was not for Crystal Hemphill, Journey Intuit. So any of you in the chat room now, you'll see her name in there. Definitely go over and click on and subscribe to her YouTube channel. And also we'll have all of your links, BZ, in the show more section, including the Living Life in HD and your YouTube channel, and the IUV will all be listed in the show more section of this video once YouTube allows me in there to update that. And
all of Crystal's all the BQH sessions that I did with Crystal are already they're already published because
right.
they're before.
And I'm not sure. I'll have to check with Crystal. Crystal, if you're still in there, which she may not be, but if you're still in there, I do need to check with her. The BQH session she and I did may be on Journey Intuit.
I think it is. Yeah.
Okay, good. So you guys can see, Crystal in action, because I did have it on Conscious Conversation Central when she facilitated my BQH. But of course, that's gone now. So, but you can find that on her channel. And so I would encourage everyone. She's actually, I'll be honest with you here, she's actually got a whole lot more of those under her belt than I do. And she is quite the facilitator. So, I mean, I'm not selling myself short. So if you feel drawn to me, come to me. But Crystal is really, really good too. And that is something I want to say here, because you brought it up, rightfully so. Every being is different and brings different qualities to a situation, or a service, whatever it is, even if it's the same service. So, and we've talked about this before, and honestly, I think it's a part of the practical magic. Actually, when you realize within yourself that you're actually a decoder mechanism. And now all of you is meant to decode our reality. That's what, for me, that's what I feel like we are. And so that in and of itself is practical magic, people. Let's just, as far as I'm concerned. And then on top of that, each of us I'm convinced, have translators. I call them translators, meaning that there are messages, codes and codexes that maybe you don't quite grok. And for those of you, again, I met someone today that didn't know what grok means. It's a greater realization of knowing. Thank you, Jeannie Hendricks. Every time I say that, I got to give her a shout out, because I just love the fact that she came up with that. It's a word from a book. But what I'm trying to say here is, I might say something and you get it all immediately. But I also have had this happen where, I'm trying to help someone get a concept. They really want to get it. And I'm trying to help them get this concept. And I've been trying to help them for a while, because they keep asking me questions. I keep trying to, and they just can't get that concept. And they go over here and they talk to so-and-so for 15 minutes, and lo and behold, they got the concept. And I'm like, wait a minute. Didn't I say everything that person just said? Maybe not in the exact same, but see, that's what I'm saying. That was an observation I made, that we all have translators. And it's a frequential thing. Sometimes it's a preordained thing we've arranged. Sometimes it's a timing thing. Doesn't it just doesn't really matter. But if you feel, and I'm sure I know this with all of me. If you feel drawn to someone, they may have something for you. They're either going to translate something for you, they're going to give you a code, you're going to understand something they say, they got a message for you that they don't even know they're carrying something. And so to me, that speaks again to that practical magic.
And that Trinity, and I'll add just what you just said, and that triality that comes forward where you just have someone and you meet them and say, and the interface, that connection, that magic that the two of you have, has that third creational force ray that goes out, that is igniting that for all.
And now emanating those ripples outward. So absolutely, in every single interaction, that's the way I feel about it these days. Well, thank you so much for this. I really have enjoyed this. I hope everyone else has too. I'm not sure who else. High Vibe Tribe. She says, so glad to catch this live, except that we're just now leaving, honey pie. I'm so sorry. But you will be able to go back and watch the replay. It was really very good. I enjoyed that, a lot of it. I enjoyed it. So I will, let's see. Oh, tomorrow is Thursday. I will not be doing a live tomorrow morning. Just to let everyone know, the collective card pulls will be being done, but not tomorrow morning. I think I've shared with everyone, I have been asked to assist with my granddaughter's schooling. She is 5 and she's presenting as left-handed, and I am the only one that is left-handed. So I get to help with the writing. And so I'm going to go do that tomorrow. And so I won't be here to be able to do that. And let me see if there was anything else. Nope, I think that's it as far as if you're new to conscious, well, we'll see. I keep wanting to say, if you're new to Corona Rising, please do subscribe to the channel and double click that notification bell if you'd like to be notified when I go live or when I upload a video. Hopefully they will have that working now. And I guess that's it.
Come on over to the Living Life in HD and subscribe and come play over there.
Yes, absolutely. Till next time, everybody, choose joy.